Good day and welcome to On Power and Purpose. This is your girl, Rina Malay, and I'm not working alone. I'm not here alone, of course. I'm with my absolute favorite human being,
Thank you.
Ayman
Thank you for the
Mayeko.
introduction. How are you doing?
I'm always great, dude. I'm always
It's
great.
always pleasure to be here with you every time.
Right?
Yeah, every time, and I mean it. Thank God for you.
Man, we thank God. We
Thank
thank
God for
God.
time. Thank God for everything. We thank God for our lives. We thank God for
Mm.
our viewers. We thank God for our listeners. We thank God for everything.
Everything.
I just had to say that.
But one thing,
Mm.
one thing.
I had to say thank God because God.
We are not going to thank God about
You okay?
is jealous that we carry. Ooh, you know that thing in us, the damage of jealous, so and that's just one of the topics we're going to talk about today. We are talking about the damage and the insecurities, the damage of jealous and the insecurities, you know what I mean. So you said you're gonna be asking me a few things today.
Of course, I want to ask you a couple of things based
Is
on.
it like a special show where you get to ask me questions?
No, I just have to, sometimes. By the way, I don't speak a lot. I don't talk too much. I'm reserved. My reservation. Okay.
Wow, this guy does not. Please comment on the section below. Who speaks? If you have been watching us, of course, do let us know who speaks the most.
I'm
Him
shy.
or-
No, I'm shy. It's just that I get to be in a zone where I have to, articulate myself well. But that does not mean I speak a lot. But now I felt that,
Okay.
if I could be on the seat where I hear you voice out to the core, right? No, you speak to me, yes, but on the show,
Of this topic.
yeah, I would like to hear more of you. I'd be listening than talking. I agree where I have to,
Wow.
but yeah. So you spoke about jealousy and your insecurities, of course.
Yeah.
Now, were you ever insecure?
Yeah.
Can I say something? I'm gonna have a segment, then I'll be done. Then everything will be about Renee explaining, going deeper and deeper, however she can. All right. I have been insecure at some point in my life. Part of growing up, we assess such stuff that
Yeah.
actually you were insecure. Actually, you were mad. Actually, you were all this stuff. So I was at some point insecure based on the fact that I did not have so much confidence in myself. I had a lady that I loved so much, and God bless her soul. I still love her, but on a human scale, of course, but not, the different types of love. Yes. So I love her from human scale. Yep. So when we were in love at the time, when she was my sweetheart, we worked together. All right. And as we worked together, she's beautiful. I love beautiful things. She's beautiful, and as beautiful as she was, because of my lack of confidence about who I was at the time, we would have too many arguments based on who she spoke to and then what they were talking about. Where did she go with who, how, what time, stuff like that. But I was not clingy in terms of calling her now and then. It was only when we're together, and I'd be flooding her with a lot of questions. And then she was like, "Are you jealous?" I'm like, "I'm not jealous. I'm just concerned." But later on, I realized I'm insecure because I felt like they were going to take her away from me. Do you understand? However, I realized that she was open and sweet. So her openness, I felt, that's what I thought. I felt her openness was gonna allow a lot of people to engage with her, and then as they engage with her, chances are they might take her away from me. You understand? So she would talk to anybody from low level, middle class, and high class. So when she would get to the higher class or the higher people of higher leverage, then I would feel I'm being challenged to step up my game. But I realized, this is later, I realized that I was insecure. I couldn't really maneuver in terms of how to maintain a relationship. And that was part of me growing. I had to grow through that. But then what I liked about her at the time is that she was able to pick up that, man, you jealous. Jealous people behave this way, because I'm confrontational, by the way. So I remember there was a time I went to this guy specifically. I was like, yo, man, what are you doing with my person? Because I felt, with insecurity, you have a state of mind where
you just want to control the person.
Besides that, you become there's so much illusion going on.
Oh yeah.
So it's not there, you feel it's there.
You overthink everything.
That's detrimental to the state of mind. So I confronted the guy because the guy was also friendly. The man was so open and the man was. I love the guy, I still do. He's loving, he's caring, but I thought the guy was making his way on my lady. So I went to him. I was like, yo, bro, what's happening? Are you trying to get into my person?
Man.
Are you getting into my space? And it was so intense to a point whereby my lady was involved in this. We had to call her and say, yo, you know what? Let it be straight. And that's when I realized that, I mean, you're losing yourself. Do you get what I'm saying?
Wow,
so I was so insecure to a point whereby I thought, this is outside the norm of who I am. But then she was like, you are so insecure, and then because of that, jealousy reigns in you, and as it does that, then you would lose yourself. You see things that people don't see. You just add 1 + 1 where it's unnecessary. Stop with that. So but with growth, I realized that there's no need to be insecure.
Have you ever been insecure? Sorry, have you ever been insecure? Jealous towards your friends who are progressing, or people at your work? Have you ever had that?
Nah.
Or your siblings?
No.
You've never heard.
I never constituted of that energy. However, towards my person, that's what developed. I don't know how. But I realized that's when I felt like I was not confident enough. And her openness versus my lack of confidence has put me on the state whereby insecurities, that's how they began in my existence, until I had to grow through it and I was able to cut it out. And I realized, the level of my self-esteem went higher after I've progressed from that. Do you understand?
That's a lot of self-work that people are in our...
It challenges you a lot, yes,
and
it
I
does.
think that's just one of the things I always say, that for you to grow, you just have to be honest with yourself. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Be honest with yourself in ways that are going to help you to be a better person.
Yeah. I never thought I was gonna say that what I said in 5 minutes.
It's
but I just went. I just went more than I thought I expected. But anyway, you're the one who's gonna be doing a lot of.
No, I think we are gonna be doing this together, because it's like.
But I want to hear more from your side, because you've got a lot to say. You've been saying a lot of stuff off studio. I mean, off set, of course. And then now I want you to,
I have actually. I think one of the things that women struggle with is jealousy towards other women. And I think this thing also started when you're not validated enough at home and you're not secured enough at home, and then you start thinking that everybody's going to take your place. You know what I mean? So I have been in relationships where I felt so insecure, and it was like we were both just control freaks. We were just like checking up on each other. Like it was just two broken people, two wounded people coming together and making one piece of brokenness, which was just a mess, So we'll literally just check up on each other. 8 o'clock, you must be here. 8, 8:30, honey, what were you doing? Who were you with? So you literally just check on every time. What time does he come back from work? He should be here. If he comes back out from work at 6 o'clock, he should be here 7 o'clock. So it takes an hour for him to get here. And you just say extra 10 minutes, so by 8 o'clock he must be here. If he's not here, what were you doing? I think there was just a moment where my insecurities has taken me to totally losing myself in a state where I couldn't even recognize myself anymore. I was like, what are you trying to do? What kind of relationship are you in? Leave. And this was like my first ever relationship that I've dated this person for years, So, and then now they start living their lives. Now they're no longer young like you used to date them when you were young. And now they start working, and then they're making money, and then you are just out there. You like, I remember there was a moment where I'd wait at 2 o'clock.
You'd wake up at 2?
Listen, I'd wait at 2 o'clock.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah.
Until 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock. So I'd be like, okay, so he went out for partying. So it means that it's 2 o'clock. So 2 a.m., means I must wait. So 2:30, I'd wake out in the street and just stand by the street and wait for the car to just pass by so that I can see what is he back from home. Then he's back from home. You'd wait until 3:30. There's no coming. I think it was just that moment where I realized that I've really exceeded the level of insecurity. Now it's not even jealousy, it's not insecurity. Now this is toxic, But you don't see it when you're in it, And I still stayed, and we were both just insecure to a point where it even become so violent, where he'd be abusive, he'd beat me up on who called you, who did not call you, and then we just.
So he was also of the same.
Yeah, it was just two. Hence, I'm saying that it was just two broken people
coming together, wanting to make things out.
It was, So there was just that moment where I just felt like this is enough. We can't continue like this, and we broke up. But along the way with the breakup, we broke up because also he had found somebody else. So it wasn't really just only about the physical abuse, but because now you're with somebody else, and which also adds to another insecurity as well,
Yeah.
So I think I started seeing other women as a threat to me. I started seeing other women as I'd compete with myself. I'd question myself, is she pretty? And you're just like, oh no, she ain't pretty. And even though very well, you can see that this person is beautiful, but you deny it to yourself because you don't want to admit that the next person is more beautiful, because if you do, it's going to trigger your insecurities and it's going to make you feel like you are less of who you think you are. You know what I mean? And that's totally not true. The fact that somebody else is pretty does not mean that you are any less beautiful. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I'd look at other people and be like, no man, they're not pretty. So I think it also came with the jealousy of not wanting people to succeed, not wanting other women to succeed. There's girls that she dated, and we have a lot of those where we get to be like, you want to be the one who's more successful so that he can realize that he lost something in you. You know what I mean? You want to be the one that's really doing well because you want him to realize that he lost something in you. You want to look sexy, you want to look beautiful, you know what I mean? And you realize that you are actually in competition with the world, and this is not even about you, this is about other people. You know what I mean? So you start working on yourself, but it takes a lot of work, guys. It really takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of validation also. It also takes God to dwell in your spirit, and so that you can be so assured of who you are and where you're going. And I think my life has literally just been better ever since I got saved and I started really having a relationship with God. That's when I knew my value and I never had to suffer from any insecurities. You know what I mean?
Saved, you mean when you have accepted the Lord?
Yes.
Okay.
I
just said to you, after God saved you and you began the process of healing, all right, has that really affected how you and your
how I approach relationships?
Not really, but has it really affected your relationships with other people in general?
Yeah,
especially particularly girls,
yes.
Other girls. And when you look at other girls, you're like, I don't perceive them like I used to.
Yes, I think with having to understand that we are all beautiful in a different ways, and we should not measure people's beauty to feel confident about ours. So having to be so secured in God made me realize that I should not even be in any war with anybody about how they look. You know what I mean? But to be confident in how I was created, and to know that I'm also not in a competition with people that hurt me. And I also had to learn that forgiveness is not about wanting to forget and wanting to be free, but it's also wanting to see others that wronged you succeed and do better. So I had to then start looking at a woman like, I want to see you better, I want to see you healed, I want to see you progress. The fact that you got into the relationship that I was in with this person does not even have to make me want to see you fail in life. So I started looking women in a different way, that I want women to feel empowered. I want women to feel confident with themselves as well, because honestly, we can't be in a war because of a mistake or something that this guy has done, So I think that's just when I really got to understand that it's so important to be validated by God and no one else, and no any other relationship must validate your worth as a
Yes.
person. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Because the reason we are insecure is because we are not confident with ourselves, and the reason we're not confident with ourselves is because we don't know who we are and where we stand. But as soon as you get to know who you are in God, honey, I promise you, it changes your whole perspective on how you see yourself, on others, and on relationships. You start seeing yourself differently. You start acting differently. You start approaching life differently. You know.
Yeah.
So I think that it was my way of winning my insecurities as well. You know what I mean? Because it's one of the things we from black communities that you don't get to tell your child. My parents never told me that I'm beautiful. You know, my
Yeah.
mom would rather tell someone who's next door like my child is beautiful, but she won't say it to me. You know, so we are in that kind of environment that they scared of telling us because they probably think that we are gonna go out of the world and do things and start acting somehow, you know what I mean? But to assure your child, it's so important because they grow with a different confidence and they don't have to compete with any other woman, but to check on themselves and grow themselves as individuals. Yeah.
Thank you. Now, speaking of God, now that I think we are moving towards godliness,
Are we?
I feel that I need to add something about God there, because now I know the Bible doesn't only say God is a jealous God. The Bible also says, or God also says in the Bible, I am jealous. So which means there's two types, or there's more than one type. There's diversities in terms of jealousy. So they can either be good one, bad one, or otherwise. But
Yeah.
God is
A jealous God.
he is a jealous God, and he is jealous. So which means his jealousy is of a good one. So he does not want any other person to worship any other God except himself. So in that case, he wants to secure us in worshiping him in his jealous nature. So are you saying right now that you are in God, you have this good jealousy?
You know, this is one of the things that I actually had to look at, and I'm like, I did not really look at it as a jealous. I don't know if you say it as a jealous, but I have this thing that I don't want people to get hurt, you know. And it's just one of my weaknesses, because when a person is in a relationship and they're not happy, I want them out. And I start not liking their relationship, you know. But it's not like it's jealous. I wouldn't really call that a jealous, or it's a good jealous, I don't know. But I want people out of the relationship. And it somehow comes like you are jealous of our relationship. But it's not that. It's the fact that I know that you deserve better. I know that you deserve good, and you don't even deserve to be in what you are in. So I need you to get out. So even in people who are in abused homes, part of me is like, I wish you could just go, and they might not even see you until they are better, and until you're better. You know what I mean? I have a desire for wanting people to live in healthy spaces, you know. So I wouldn't really say that it's like a good jealous from God, but it's also having to understand how God feels when he's jealous about us, that he wants what's best for us. So it's the same thing that I look at other people, I'm like, I want the best for you, and I just want you to get out of the environment that you live in. I have this thing where I get to see a person and they like, and I got to see the grade of them, you know what I mean? So I get to see you work in ShopRite, but I already get to see where you will be if you were not here, you know what I mean? So I have the desire and so much passion to want to see people do so good and to live in successful spaces, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think I'd really would understand the jealous type of God that he has for us, of wanting to see the best for us.
Yeah. Now, in order for, I'm going to deviate a little bit. In order for greatness to be witnessed, the opposite must exist. For example, for us to say Sony is the best company or the best producer of items, the opposition is also needed for that to manifest. So are you saying that at some point when you were jealous, the greatness of somebody else has made you somehow a little bit lesser?
The greatness of like the next person.
Yeah, let's say another
I think,
girl
not
diminished
outside.
who you are or your level in terms of how you would perceive them.
You have to be close with me, and you have to have done something wrong for me, to me. So it's not, I wouldn't just wake up and have jealous over this person. because I've always had a desire to want to see people successful.
Mm-hmm.
But it's that thing of also, you got into my relationship, I don't want to see you successful. I don't want to see you do great, you know. So that's why I'm saying that I had to go back and work on it to a point where I realized that I want all of us to be successful. I want you to be happy, you know what I mean? I want you to do great, you know what I mean? And no matter what you've done when you didn't know better, I want you to do things better when you know better, you know. So I'm not the kind of person who would have jealous over the next person because they're successful, you know. That's what I'm saying, that you have to have done something bad to me for me to do that, or to feel like you need that. Yeah.
So the reason I ask you this, because how how insecurity started on my side growing up with the story that I said, it was purely based on opposition. I felt that man or those guys or those people were of greater value, so and I'm of a lesser value. So somehow I magnified them, and then I felt belittled. So in between that's when insecurity stepped in. So that's why I said, in order for the great to be witnessed, the opposition is also true or evident. We cannot say you are the greatest. Greatest from who? There's something of your opposite which is not. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I truly believe that part of insecurities to be in existence, it's how we fail to bridge the gap between greatness or the hierarchy of greatness. In the greatness that the next person is, and how great I am at the level that I might be at, if we are to find a gap to breach the state of hierarchy, I think that will be a key element to eliminate the existence of being insecure.
You know, one of the things that I remember writing this as one of my starts, and I'll say that this is, I remember there was a moment where you get to feel so insecure, and simply because you were being compared with when you were young, you know. So the more we compare and the more we get to grow up in places where we are being compared, you start to become so insecure about yourself. You know what I mean? You start feeling like I'm not valued, because you see yourself, you see your value in the next person. That if this person is so great that they even have to compare me with, then it means that I'm not good as well. You know what I mean? So now your value is placed on other people's approval of you. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So then you start feeling so secured, and if they don't approve your value, you start feeling so insecure, you know. So comparison is very dangerous as well, especially in communities that we grow up in, where our mothers and our grandmothers, they're like, you are not like this child listens, you are not like. So you start feeling like you are nothing, you know, because you're constantly being compared with the world, you're constantly being compared with the neighbors, you're constantly being compared with your sisters, and now you start being in competition with them, of wanting to do better than them, because you don't want to prove those people who are comparing you with that you are a failure. So you want to constantly step into the level of what they perceive of others. You know what I mean?
That's
so
true.
I think it's one of the most dangerous things as well that we need to stop doing if we are going to breach that gap. You know, so it really is very dangerous. Like, insecurities are very dangerous, guys. There's just a level where when a person is so broken, you just have to work on yourself and heal first before you get into a relationship. Because there's nothing as nice as dating somebody who always sees, dating a pessimist. You know what I mean? So there's nothing nice with having to date somebody who always sees the negative things on somebody else. So it's so important that so you have to get to a point where you are very honest with yourself, and you start speaking great of others. You know what I mean? And you start seeing great of others, because you can't say all the negative things and bad things to other people, while you can't even be honest with yourself. You know what I mean?
That's right. Yeah.
So I think it's just one of those things that it requires a lot of self-work. You know what I mean? You don't want to be in a relationship where you chain your partner, where your partner is imprisoned when they're in a relationship with you. You know, you want them to be free and to be themselves when they're around you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's just one of the things that a person needs to do. Self-work is very important, and insecurities and jealousy is very dangerous to a relationship. It takes away your peace. It takes away your serenity. It takes
Yeah.
away your health. It's just a lot. It just consumes a lot of you. It
Yeah.
takes out so much of you. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So you have to be able to be so secure with yourself so that even when you walk, you aren't intimidated by anybody else who looks better than you. You know what I mean? And you don't go around comparing yourself with others, you know, on how this person looks and how that person looks to validate who you are. You know what I mean? The only greatest validation that we get is only from God, and anything else is just a bonus. You know what I mean? So it's, yeah,
Yeah, that was mouthful from the beginning till now.
mhm.
The last words I would say is,
Not just healing is connected to who we are in God.
that's amazing. Now, this is what I would say to the listeners or viewers. The level that you're at, it's not by any means less regarded. Excel and feel that dimension. So when you realize that the level of existence that you're at, it's helpful and it's perpetual in terms of its greatness, excel in it. Do not step back from it.
Amen.
In that way, you would never be insecure. Did you say amen?
I did.
You say
Ooh,
amen.
we're preaching.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
All right. You know what to do. Please do like, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for tuning in on Power and Purpose.
Thank you very much, then. Bye-bye.